From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Coming up, a referee shortage has Montana high school sports on life support.
We're treading pretty hard.
Plus, 2 separate fires in 2 Montana towns, sending folks to the hospital.
2 injuries, 1 serious, 1 minor.
And a Billings gym is offering women more tools to protect themselves free of charge. And good morning and welcome to Montana This Morning on this Tuesday, September 13th. We're so glad that you are watching with us. Now this morning, 2 escaped inmates, they are back behind bars. Police tracked the men down right here in Billings after 19 hours of searching. 23-year-old Quincy Pfister and 31-year-old Cody Flesh are the first people to break out of the Yellowstone County Jail in nearly 20 years. Deputies tracked them down yesterday afternoon near the fairgrounds. The prisoners escaped through a dislodged window and climbed a fence. New charges are pending, including felony escape.
Well, I'm not going to discuss, the scenario of how they got out or any of the details because it's just simply for the security of the facility. We don't share that information. But I will tell you that it was a window that they managed to get through, and that has since been resolved.
Well, both men have lengthy criminal histories, including charges that include robbery and assault. And for Flesh, there's 3 other attempts at escape. One of those times, he broke a window in his cell. Okay, we're going to take a quick break from the news because we're going to get to Miller. We're waiting on those fall-like temperatures.
Well, we're going to get back to seasonal starting tomorrow, so that's some
All
good news. Still a little bit above average today. Some areas still may try to get into the 90s. We are behind a very weak cold front, so that may knock our temperatures down just a little bit today, but even cooler air starting to invade the area tomorrow, so we've got more seasonal temperatures on the way. Nighttime lows along with those daytime highs. Yesterday our high got up to about 87, overnight low down to about 58, so above average across the board there. Top gust of 24, no precipitation, bit of a dry month still. We're kind of sliding back, but for the year we're still pacing ahead. Now, having said that, we've got the remnants of K heading our way, so starting tomorrow all the way through the weekend, a chance we could see some daily showers. 56 right now at the airport, just a little milder than normal. We should be around 50. Winds out of the northeast at about 8 miles an hour. We're looking at temperatures this morning, 40s, 50s for the most part. Highs today, mainly in the 80s. Maybe some areas getting cooler down into the 70s, and we could see some 90s. Mainly dry today, although we'll see a good bit of cloud cover. But hang in there. The rain and the cool down is on the way.
Yeah, for those of you that like the cool down, it's coming.
It is coming.
It's
back
gonna
to city.
deliver.
Hey, some areas getting maybe a couple days where we see 60s for highs.
Wow.
So definitely a nice change of pace on the way.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
More seasonal.
Cool. All right, Miller, thanks so much.
Okay.
All right, this morning investigators continue to climb through what's left of an explosion at a Livingston lumber yard. They're looking for answers. 2 people suffered injuries, and it's the second major fire involving a timber company in just a few months. Q2's David J. brings us the latest details.
A building at the sawmill caught on fire around 6 o'clock Monday morning. At this time, there's no official cause.
We did get a report of an explosion from sawdust. We have unconfirmed of 2 injuries, 1 serious, 1 minor.
Chief Dan Babcock says the injured are RY employees. Firefighters arrived on scene from the Park County Rural Fire District, Livingston Fire and Rescue, Wilsall, and Paradise. Park County Public Information Officer and firefighter Danielle Babcock tells Q2 the fire around the building was contained by 9 a.m. The fire started in one building and spread to 3 others. Representatives from RY tell MTN the fire damage will not stop the lumber business and no employees will lose jobs. One of the buildings used for maintenance had hydraulic fluid, and that was also a concern with another type of potential fuel for the fire.
We were able to get the water flow to the tower truck, which saved it from getting into any uninvolved buildings.
Crews will stay on scene through the night to monitor the hotspots, and the state fire marshal's report is expected to be ready on Tuesday. In Billings, David J., MTN News.
An RY timber facility in Townsend was forced to shut down after a fire completely destroyed that facility. That was back in May. This morning, we are learning a man is recovering from injuries he sustained during a massive fire. This right here that you see on your screen, it's Midtown Laurel. The residents of this home on the 500 block of Birch Street are dealing with some pretty serious damage. But thanks to a fast response from firefighters, it did not spread.
The detached garage, an RV, a car, a shed, and then it also was on the verge of going north into the next house to the north of it, but the fire department was able to get it extinguished before it did any further damage.
All right, and the cause of that fire, it is still under investigation. All right, this morning we have a look at a local gym helping people defend themselves against attackers. That's because local interest in self-defense classes has grown after a Tennessee mother was abducted and killed last week while she was out for a job. Q2's Alina Howder has more.
I guess I just kind of got sick of seeing myself as a victim, and I was sick of letting fear control me.
Every woman inside this studio at Shepherd Warrior Martial Arts has a story, a different reason for being here. Sarah Hill has been training here for 5 years. For her, it's much more than just palm strikes and shin kicks.
It's been a place where I can face a lot of triggers, because I do have some triggers from some previous trauma, and it's a place where I've overcome lots of them.
Taking a class like this actually helps a person learn how to deal with the stuff that's going on inside as much as the stuff that's going on outside.
Attacks like the one in Tennessee are rare, but they can happen anywhere and to anyone. Students here learn how to be more aware of their environment and how to set appropriate boundaries. Along with effective communication skills and how to not come across as a victim. Leslie Dunaway has been teaching classes for nearly 6 years. She says there are simple moves everyone can learn to stay safe. The first she showed me was the classic palm strike.
Nice thing about a palm strike, your palm is solid and you just, right? Shove your palm right in their chin or their nose. Think Pez dispenser. Right? And you just, boom, you blast it.
Dunaway says you want to start with a strong stance with your dominant leg planted behind the other.
We have our palms out because it sends a message of stop, right? And it also creates this physical boundary.
Dunaway says to also make eye contact with the assailant and be as loud as you can. Attracting attention to this kind of situation could save your life. Next is a kick to the groin.
You can slam that shin right up between the legs. If they grab you and you can get a hand and shove your thumb in their eyeball.
For Sarah, the classes have helped her regain her confidence, especially when it comes to using her voice.
It's not something that I'm very good at yet, but I know that there is power in your voice, and speaking up for yourself before things even become physical can make a huge difference.
Shepherd Warrior Martial Arts offers free self-defense classes like this for women every month, knowing it could ultimately save a life. In Billings, Alina Howder, MTN News.
All right, thanks for the story, Alina. Are you interested in becoming a high school referee? We're learning this morning that so few are, meaning some high school sports may be in jeopardy. A lack of officials has forced the rescheduling for at least one soccer game every week this season in Billings. The brave souls that are willing to step up and do the job believe insults from the stands is what's deterring others from signing up.
The abuse. I mean, we absolutely understand that parents are there for their children and are passionate about their kids, but we're looking for some grace there.
I've played basketball my whole life and really wanted to give back, but definitely, especially after last year, I think I heard a lot of people say, you know, they're just a little drained from having to do so many games.
MHSA officials get paid $48 every sub-varsity game and $70 for a varsity game. That's going to go up to $75 starting next year. As the war in Ukraine rages on, there's been a major turn of events. Ukrainian troops say they forced Russia into a major defensive position, regaining thousands of square miles of territory. CBS's Bradley Blackburn has the details.
These are images that just a few months ago seemed unimaginable. In territory near Kharkiv, Ukrainian troops raising their flag and ripping up Russia's. Glory to the heroes, they said. Ukrainian forces pushed rapidly into the northeast over the weekend, retaking territory that had been occupied by Russia for nearly 7 months. The Russian front line collapsed, with Vladimir Putin's troops forced into retreat. The Russians suddenly started shouting wildly and running away, said Dmytro Rushenko, charging off in their tanks. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky says since the start of the month, Ukraine has liberated more than 2,400 square miles of Russian-held territory. U.S. officials are watching the progress closely.
What they have done has been very methodically planned out, and of course it's benefited from significant support from the United States and many other countries in terms of making sure that Ukraine has in its hands the equipment it needs to prosecute this counteroffensive.
Ukraine says the Russians left behind landmines, ammunition, and other weapons, and more proof that they targeted civilians. They accuse Russia of a retaliatory strike on this civilian power substation, leading to widespread blackouts and water shortages. Russia has ordered its troops to regroup on the eastern front line. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
The civilian death toll continues to grow. 5,700 civilians have been killed in that conflict so far. And the White House is also asking Congress to approve more money, $12 billion in aid to Ukraine. The Justice Department has agreed on a special master nominee in the probe of mishandled White House documents by former President Donald Trump. The DOJ says Judge Raymond Dearie is acceptable, along with its two previously proposed selections. It's unclear when a judge will decide who the special master is. A Montana sheriff says he is arming Great Falls schools with guards this year to stop violence. And this morning we're learning a growing number of schools nationwide are also turning to armed security to protect kids. CBS's Michael George visited one school to see how they balance safety and education.
For many kids returning to the classroom, this will be the new normal. More and more schools are implementing armed security in the wake of the massacre in Uvalde. At the Derby School District in Connecticut, armed officers have been on patrol for 5 years.
We don't know the next time somebody could come through a school door in any school across this country. And you want to know you've done everything in your power to protect the people inside.
Hi, Mrs. C. How are you?
All security officers here are required to be former law enforcement. They spend a lot of time communicating with teachers and talking to students. But lead security officer Tom Paytak says their mission is not student discipline.
We are here to make sure everyone comes to school, comes in safe, leaves safe, and that everyone's here. There's no intruders, there's no issues outside in the perimeter.
Here in Derby, safety officers are carrying their weapons in the open. The point is to be visible so potential threats know the school has armed security. But armed guards are not an automatic deterrent. A study in JAMA Network Open found in 1 in 4 school shootings, the school did have armed security on site. And with districts nationwide considering armed guards, parents are debating the merits and pitfalls.
For people of color, especially, it makes us a little more nervous naturally, just because of history.
Parent Joe Martino, who's an unarmed school security officer, says he feels better knowing his daughter has armed guards at her school.
They're right on hand in case something does happen. They're you don't have to wait for 2, 3, 4 minutes for the police to come. They're right there ready to act.
He hopes they never have to act, but like so many parents, he knows school shootings can happen in any community. Michael George, CBS News, Derby, Connecticut.
In Great Falls, Sheriff Jesse Slaughter has outlined a plan for special service officers, saying that we need to protect students and teachers like we protect money in our banks.